All right, we're live. It's me, Will, the dreamer, aka Will Star. Welcome to my show, Artist Talk, and we're going to jump right into this. I've been looking forward to this all morning. I am live with Mr. Harry H. from North Florida, gear lover and enthusiast. He loves his guitar gear just like I do, and we're going to talk about this. It's going to be great, dreamers, so hang out. And please follow all the links in the description box below, dreamers. Let's get into this. Harry, how are you?
I'm doing well, Will. Just got to say, that was a really, really cool intro you had going on. Really like the vibe of it.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you for being here.
No problem, man.
You know? So let's do this. Guitar gear, lay it on me, man.
All right, so in that main picture, I don't know if you can bring it up real quick. I've got a Ibanez Gem 77, the Steve Vai model. So I picked that. It's a funny story behind that. I was over in I was over in London about 2 years ago now, and I walked into Denmark Street.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Denmark Street's big famous music scene in the 70s, 60s, and 70s, where like Stones, everyone is hanging out, Black Sabbath, like everyone, that was the place to be. Well, now it's turned into like a whole like music strip shop, basically. You got Wonjo Guitars and Bass down there, 6060 Sounds is down there, love those guys, big shout out to them, and No Tom is down there as well. And I didn't realize at the time, but No Tom exclusively deals in like used and vintage gear. But here I am, this time, like a 20-year-old just walking in like, oh, sick, guitar, that's awesome. But yeah, so I walked in there one day to No Tom's, and they had this beautiful, like, I think it was black plastic blue thin line Telecaster, and I thought, oh my god, that's gorgeous. I looked two guitars over, and there was this there's the Gem, and I'm like, oh hey, that's an Ibanez. Only reason I got it was because A, it had a ridiculously good deal on it, and it had the whammy bar still on it.
Yeah.
You know, you go to like Guitar Centers or Sweetwater or any other guitar store in America or in the UK or whatever, none of them are going to have the whammy bar on it. This one, the Gem just had it on there for whatever reason, and I thought,
wow.
Oh wow, that's a first. Never seen that one before. Picked it up, played it. I'm like, man, this is it.
Mm-hmm.
They had a Dr. Z Route 66, I think. The red, was it 40-watt head or something like that?
Yeah.
Put it through that thing. Oh man, great sound. Yeah, pick that up. On that same London trip, I got the orange Jim Root Terror 1x12 from 6060 Sounds right there, and that's my setup. Yeah, 2 years. Other guitars include a PRS SE Custom 24, the limited edition Zero Coat top. It's not in the picture, but I've got one of those. I got that down at Miami Guitars, down in Miami. I got a Godin Session Custom, which is kind of to the left of the picture. You can't quite see it. It's kind of a telly derivative type thing. It's got a humbucker neck. I think it's a Duncan 59 in there. And then a Godin's own Cajun Custom single coil, which sounds really, really sick. It's got a whammy bar on there as well. And then I got a Jackson 7-string and a standard made Mexico Telecaster. That's about it.
Well, when I'm looking at this picture, I see your Boss DD200.
Oh yeah, we talked about that earlier. That thing is great. I've been playing around with that thing a whole lot last night, and I figured out that I was doing some research on Space Echoes because that pedal show is doing episodes on like finding the perfect tape delay or whatever, and I was reading through the manual on the DD200, and the tape section is based around it's based around the Space Echo sound, but some people have said it doesn't quite sound like it. So I've looked into what makes Space Echo so great, and what it really is a tape delay and a spring reverb in parallel with each other. So you get like a real washy type sound. And I thought, hey, wait a minute. My Hot Rod Deluxe has a spring reverb in it.
Yeah.
If I could figure out a way to basically split the signal so I can go, direct into the spring reverb and then delay into the just dry amp, basically, kind of like doing a false wet dry type thing, or I guess an inverted wet dry. I'm not really sure what you call it. And yeah, I did that, and that's kind of what started this whole interview thing.
That's amazing. The thing about the whole space echo, I remember in the early 90s, I actually had a Roland Space Echo.
You had one? Oh my god.
Big one, tape, the whole thing. And I had it set up on my mixing console and running to a patch bay in my PA rack. And I thought to I never had a chance to run that through my guitar amp. And then, after further research, I realized that Eddie Van Halen in the early days used two of them. And two of them.
God. Oh my god.
And I'm just like, and going all wired straight into the front of his Marshallplex. And I'm like going, wow, man. So when I had the chance to get this pedal right here, I jumped on it. Because I've been using Line 6 and Boss products for quite a while now. And I ended up getting the Boss GT1. As a matter of fact, that's what I write with and I record with, and I'm using it as my audio interface.
Oh, nice. I had a Line 6 Spider. The Spider 4 the terrible combo that everyone had at some point, and then I also had the Pod HD 500X. I actually still have that. It's out in my house out in Texas where my dad lives right now. That thing's pretty fun for tone testing, but I've found it has its limitations.
The Line 6 Spider 4 is the very first Line 6 amp that I own. I had the head, 120 watts.
Oh my god.
120 watt freaking head. And it sounded like when I took the volume and when I just did a little sound test and dimed out the volume and dimed out the master, the channel volume in the master, blew my head off. And I was just like, because I had two Line 6 412s. So I was running a full stack. And I got to tell you, Line 6 really knew what they were doing when they came up with the Spider series.
Yeah, it's definitely a interesting and polarizing amp.
And it doesn't sound digital, it does sound tube. And that's the craziest thing about it. I mean, here I'm sitting in my little house with these two Line 6 412 cabs, this 120 watt Line 6 Spider 4 head, and I'm sitting right in front of it practicing, and I could feel the headroom. I could hear the headroom, and I could feel the air just coming straight at me, and it felt just like the 100 watt Marshall JCM 800 that I had back in the day.
Oh man!
And I was like, how did Line 6 do this? This is crazy. And then I went from that to the Pod, to the HD 500 floor unit. And that's when I really got took a big bite of modeling. And I've never tried the 500X.
The 500X is pretty good. I think the only real difference between that and the like some of the other units, it has like a little bit more DSP to it, and I think it has some unique some models and effects that are unique to that specific version.
Well, the now everybody, it seems like, um, well, not everybody, because you have the Helix, Line 6 Helix, you have the Kemper profilers, you have all the fractal audio stuff, and now there's Neural DSP.
Neural DSP is one of the few. I'm not a huge modeling person, but Neural DSP knows what they're doing. I have the type plugin. That thing, if I had better headphones or a better monitor system, whatever, that thing would be absolutely sick.
Hmm.
It's modeling to me is very dependent on your playback system, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, just like a guitar speaker, if you have a crappy 112, you're trying to run a gained out JCM 100 through it, it's going to sound like crap. But if you have a proper 412 going with that thing, or 8x12 or a full stack, it's going to sound great.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing applies to modeling. If you have like proper studio monitors, it's going to sound pretty good. But if you're trying to run it through like $150 headphones you got from Best Buy that were on sale, it ain't going to cut it.
No.
Also, there's a latency thing for me, but that's just I was using a USB Focusrite thing. If I was probably using like the Universal Audio Apollo series, it would be a lot better probably. Well, yeah, the Neural DSP knows what they're doing. I respect what they're doing.
I actually had an opportunity to go to the NAMM show last year. Well, actually earlier this year in Anaheim, and I wasn't able to go, but I will, because my mom got sick.
Oh man, sorry to hear that.
So I was just like, man, yeah, I can't go. There's always next year. I can't go this year. And speaking of which, I always like to give credit for my show and for everything I'm doing to my PayPal supporters. Because if it wasn't for my PayPal supporters, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to thank Eric Broadbent up in Canada, Design 39 Media. Thank you, Eric, for your inspiration and your positive influence that you've had on me as a show creator and as a guitarist. Also, I want to thank Dimbola's Blade Work in Victoria, Australia. Dim, I hope you're safe. Shoot me a line sometime. Let me know how you're doing, man. I also want to thank Mike Guitars, Michael Landick. I also want to thank Brian S. And I also want to thank, a big, huge thank you goes out to the Boss owners, the Boss Katana owners group on Facebook. Thank you very much, everybody, for your support. If it wasn't for all you guys and Facebook groups, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing now. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And also, I also would like to give a big, quick shout out to my guest on Monday, and Mr. Gar Burrows, lead singer for the nation's leading most dangerous tribute band, Appetite for Destruction. Gar, thank you very much. Thank you very much for being on my show Monday. It was a true honor and a true pleasure. Is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out to, Harry?
Top of my head, probably some of the real cool folks who are working in the music industry right now. I know they're going through a lot of tough times, so I just want to give a big shout out to pretty much everyone. Like, God, I can't. I'm on the spot. I can't think of anyone right now. I know Lightest Bar is going through some tough times right now. Real important to the big to the metal scene. I'm trying to think who else is going through a tough time. Sanguisugabog over Sanguisugabog. They were on a tour. They had I think they had to cancel a tour during the mid thing. So they're going through tough times right now.
That's tough.
If you like down-tuned drug death and hilarious lyrics and great riffs, check them out. They've got new flags out made by Roger from Mortician. So good, high quality stuff. I got their vinyl the other day in the mail, and it's great. Yeah, those are the guys to think about right now. St. Vitus and Sanguisugabog. But it's definitely support local musicians. They're going and local bar. When they come back up, they're definitely gonna need it.
For sure. And thank you, Harry. I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but I always like to make sure people know that they're appreciated, and it's really important, especially now more than ever. It's really important for us all to get through this, stick together, and remember we're all in this together.
Absolutely.
So what do you think? Getting back to the topic at hand, what do you think, Harry, is the future of music?
Oh, the future of music. So that's it. I think it kind of depends on the, I guess, the style you play. For example, I play more metal styles, so I play some doom, a lot of black metal, a lot of death metal, some progressive metal, but I kind of like to blend a lot of genres. So I think the more you can take influences from other projects and other bands, the better. I'm working on some stuff right now. I was working with my friend Gabby from Hardcore Harp.
Mm-hmm.
She plays metal on a harp. She did a cover of Periphery's Marigold. We actually were putting together a little thing for a little while.
That'd be cool.
Our
right.
we go to the same we went to the same university, but because of the coronavirus, we all had to go our separate ways. And she's off doing her own thing right now with doing more covers and working actual bands right now. So our little thing fell apart. But we were going to do like a full live band rendition of Periphery. I thought it was going to be pretty fun. But the whole coronavirus thing popped up, and we were like, we got to put this on the back burner. And then what we thought was going to be like a 2-week, we'll out, turned into, no, it's going to be a full shutdown of our university. So we're kind of being sent back home right now. So that was a pain. We also had other stuff we're working on, but I think definitely blending styles. For example, I'm a big black metal and death metal fan, so like a blackened death metal or death grind, I guess is the more accurate term for it, is a ton of fun. So bands like Blood Incantation, Sanguisugabog, I talked about earlier, Uada, Wave, all like turned into death grind to black metal groups. Those are gonna be those guys are, I think, the future of metal right now. You got other guys right now like Periphery who are still doing things, but I don't know. I just haven't seen a whole lot of innovation with those guys. Even though they kind of label themselves as progressive metal, they've kind of had the same tone since they started, which was like 6505 and a tube screamer into vintage 30. They've had that setup since like the 2010, and yes, it is a good sound, but everyone has this sound now, so it kind of feels a bit stale. But then you have Sanguisugabog, who's using like crate stuff from the 90s, and I'm like, that's trash. But then you hear those riffs ain't trash.
Yeah.
If you look at it from another genre, like I'm taking a musicology class right now about just the history of American music. We've talked about everything blackface minstrelsy in the 1800s to right now. Well, yesterday we had a class who talked about class like psychedelic rock from the 70s. It's like taking a lot of like inspiration from the past can definitely influence your style for the future. Like Blood, example, one of my favorite bands of all time as of right. They're taking like kind of 70s psychedelic, phaser stuff going on, like all weird stuff like that, and then just applying, good old fashioned just death immolation stuff on top of that, and it sounds.
Well, you know, when we started the show today, I have a couple of viewers that are very loyal to the show. I affectionately call them my dreamers, my family of dreamers.
Mm-hmm.
And Sonic Sonia is here. She goes, "Hiya, Harry. Hiya, Will. Hiya, Robert."
Hello. Hello.
And she also says Sonic Sonia loves harp music too. That's very
Yeah,
unique.
she should check out Hardcore Harp on Instagram. She's got right now covers of Flesh God Apocalypse, Periphery, I think Born of Osiris as well, and a bunch of other bands, right? A bunch of other bands right now. So she's definitely doing some interesting stuff on the harp with metal. So if you like harp, you like metal, there you go. Perfect overlap.
The let's see what else. What I was going to ask you is, I know you were sharing about your jam, and I really appreciate that. What kind of pickups do you have in your jam?
Oh man, so it came stock with the DiMarzio Gravity Storms. A little shootout. I did a little shootout because I tuned down to drop B. Like that's my new standard tuning basically is drop B and C sharp standard. So I was tuned down to drop B on them, and they didn't quite have the output or the clarity that I wanted. So after a little shootout with the Duncan Pegasus.
Duncan Pegasus, I've heard of that.
Yeah, it's very very good for the kind of like the prog metal type sound.
Mm-hmm.
So that's that. I got that in the bridge, and I've got a Seymour Duncan Red Devil in the middle position. So I have a full on HSH setup, and that's actually the Billy Gibbons Strat pickup for the middle position. And I got it because one of my like earliest bands I was listening to was ZZ Top. So like I love their sound, still do to this day.
Yes.
And I'm like, man, Billy Gibbons has a Strat pickup now. That's cool. So
Yeah.
I got it, and I actually emailed Seymour Duncan because I'm like, hey guys, what would go good for like a post metal, black metal, death metal type sound? And they're like, the Pegasus and Sentient will go good together, but for the middle position, try the Red Devil? ? And I did, and it sounds excellent for like ISIS type tones, or like if I put it in the middle position on a clean channel on like a Hot Rod Deluxe, I can sound like a tuned down Julian Baker.
Wow.
Which is awesome.
Wow.
It doesn't quite have like. So I'm trying to. Well, I'm playing drop B, so it's gonna be very different for you playing a standard. But it has like a PAF type sound that's got more mids, but it's also like a very warm mid range, in my opinion. It kind of sounds like if you boosted about 250 on a EQ pedal, it would sound like it kind of sounds very warm, the mid range, but it got this very full bodied. The high end is definitely very rolled off, which for middle position is whatever, it's totally fine. But it actually sounds very, very warm. It's a very good compliment to the Seymour Duncan Pegasus and Sentient. It just sounds really, really like it has a wide range of everything. So you can do the shred neck pickup stuff with Sentient, kind of like a 59 jazz combination is what they describe it as.
Wow, that's classic.
Yeah, it's somewhere between those two. So it's a really good. Was meant to be like a modern type pickup, but I think if you put it like a JB, you could get like plenty type tones instantly, and it'd be great. It'd be working great.
Well,
And I know he uses Sir pickups, but like if he used that in a JB, it'd be great.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's cool, man. You know, now that we're talking about pedals, we're talking about gear. Have you ever seen this before?
Is that the Digitech Trio?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've heard of it. I haven't. I'm not really sure what it does though.
Well, what it is it's a tracker, and you can play a riff into this pedal right here.
Mm-hmm.
Click this button, or there it is. Click it twice real quick, the green light flashes real fast, start playing, and then when you hit this, you have instant bass and instant drums.
Okay.
And it's pretty cool. Right here is your style knob. You could pick the style of music. And whatever your backing track is, basically it creates a backing track for you, a looper.
Okay.
And then over here, you have your style right here. And then over here, you have your variation. It's like each style has its own variation. 12 different variations.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I strongly recommend it, especially you're a songwriter, you're writing songs. This is a key pedal, at least for myself. I love Digitech. This is a key pedal.
That's pretty cool. I have Digitech's drop pedal. It's their polyphonic pitch shifter. I actually used that. When I first got the Gem, I had it in E standard, but I wanted to play in C sharp. At the time, I didn't have the proper strings for it, so I was using the drop, and it sounded good. Like, but it didn't. I've found that once you start tuning down, there is a fundamental tonal shift. You know, you're using heavier gauge wire, which creates more magnetic pull. I could be just talking out of my ass here for a second, but there's a fundamental change in just pickup response. Okay. So if you have a very bass heavy pickup, that's when you play a Telecaster, right? You play an E standard, it sounds very, very bright, very, very twangy.
Yeah.
You turn that low E down to a D, and it sounds massive. There's like a huge bass response to it.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing applies when you take a guitar and turn it from in a Telecaster's case E, or in my case a Gem to E, but down to C sharp and drop B. There's a massive change. That's kind of why I got rid of the Gravity Storms. Was they sounded good for the Steve Vai E standard shred stuff, but down in drop B when I'm playing, the articulation is critical to my sound, it quite have it. The Pegasus, however, it has like a little slightly scooped mid range, and the highs are slightly higher than the bass. It's kind of I don't know if you can quite see that, but it kind of sounds like that a little bit. I don't know.
Oh, you're talking frequency.
Yeah, there's a fundamental frequency response, and the pickups have a frequency response. They come preset out, So if you have a pickup, right, and it has a flat frequency response, so like a 555 or whatever, I would want something, at least for my sound, to be like a 456 maybe. A little bit less bass, flat-ish mid-range, and have the treble slightly boosted. Where the Pegasus, I think, is around like a 6.5, 6.5 or something like that. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe a 5.5. I don't know. It captures my sound really, really well. I don't really know how else to describe it. It's on its own. It sounds very focused. It's not like the modern metal tight sound. It's very focused in the low end, which is something I really, really like. So that way I can just, take off all my, booster pedals or whatever, and I can play comfortably without any boost pedals going into the amp or whatever.
Wow, that's impressive.
It just sounds very focused, and it still has enough articulation so I can do like more arpeggio things without relying on a treble booster, which is 95% of my sound.
A treble booster, really?
Oh yeah, I have the Laney TI boost. It's Tony Iommi's signature pedal, and I also got that when I was in London. I got it over at Anderton's actually.
Wow.
Yeah, and I only got it because I was on a website earlier and I said, "This pedal in there, it's got Iommi on it. Like, come on, it's Iommi. I gotta get that. I have to."
Yeah.
And I got it out with a with a full on rock reverb. I had the 50-watt Mark III right there, so I put it into that one with the I think it was just a RG something off the wall, or what is maybe it's an AZ. I don't entirely remember. And I plugged it in. I said, "That's it. That's the sound."
Yeah, you know when you hear it, when it how a tool like this, a sonic tool like this makes you feel, and you hear it. At least for me, it really doesn't take much. When I'm dialing in a drive pedal, I like knocking that drive down to about 9 o'clock and taking my volume, that's the gain or drive, knock it down real low. And to about 9 o'clock, and then take the volume and
max it out, yeah.
Max it out, and start tweaking the bass, middle, and treble. Leave that for last. And I gotta tell you, start playing like an A, D, D sus progression. You know, because if I'm playing something and I just start smiling because it just makes me feel so good, I'm like,
that's it.
That's it.
Yeah, that trick is also very popular in the metal community. So like guys like Periphery or Meshuggah or like any of the 1,000 clone bands that have come from them, they'll use a 6505.
Yeah.
You know, like slightly scooped mid range and like bass and treble up slightly because they're going for like the heavy chunky sound, and they throw a tube screamer in front of it. You know, drive off, level up, tone up, and like a noise gate. And yeah, it is a sound, but because every single metal band now does that, I have a fundamental thing where I'm like, I kind of reject that idea. I understand why it works, and it does sound good to an extent, but I need something different. So that's why I went with the orange instead, because I saw Mad Max Fury Road when it came out. It has that awesome guitar guy with a flamethrower on it on top of the truck, and I thought, man, that is the coolest thing ever. How do I get that sound? And Junkie XL, the guy who made the soundtrack for it, has like a 25-minute video of him talking about how he got that sound, and it basically was an orange rock reverb boosted with like a full tone OCD or something like that.
Wow.
And I'm like, wow, orange. Okay, who are these guys? Oh my God, they got Jim Root on there as one of the roster guys. That's cool. That's pretty cool. It out with orange. Love Orange. They are my number one brand to this day. That was like 5 years ago now. Still playing on oranges since then. I've been nothing but oranges for about 5 years, and it's been awesome.
Orange amps are probably my number three favorite brand of amp. And I gotta tell you, the reason why is because orange, I've actually remember pulling up some videos of like real early Woodstock type performances, or actually performance from Woodstock, and all you see are Fenders, Orange, Marshall, Vox,
And Sun.
yeah, and Sun. You know, Orange. When I was looking for an amp for for my own personal amp, I did some research of the Orange Jimmy Page 120 watt head. And seeing as how Jimmy Page is one of my biggest influences, especially, see, I write a lot of riffs with an EBow. And I started dabbling with violin bows, and I started dabbling in like creating sonic landscapes like that, and when you throw my Boss DD 200 in the mix. I mean, you come up with some really mind blowing soundscapes. Um, but then I discovered Supro.
Oh, I love Supro. Yes.
Supro Black Magic.
I
And
played that amp. I played the 25 with the reverb. Oh my god, it's awesome. Absolutely awesome. One of my favorite Supros of all time is the oh god, I think it's the Jupiter. It's a 65 watt 212 combo. I played that in at a Texas Guitar Ranch out, I think it's Arlington or something, or Bedford. I'm not entirely sure, but I played that with the orange fur coat fuzz, and a Godin Session Custom, where I actually discovered Godin for the first time. That was it. I was like, this is ISIS the band tone right here, right.
Yeah.
Put that down in drop D, and I was like, oh man, I am playing that intro riff from So Did We from Palpticon. Man, that's it right there. This is so cool. And I know Aaron Turn does not use Supro or a fuzz pedal or a Godin, but that whole combination right there was beautiful.
Well, I love Supro, and that eventually, after the current state of affairs is over with, eventually I'd like to get my hands on a Supro Black Magic amp.
Yes, Miami Guitars actually has one. I was looking for the 1970 RK, the Robert Keeley collaboration.
Yeah.
I was looking for that one because that thing is sick, and I really, really want one at some point. But they didn't have it in the stock in the moment, but they had a Black Magic instead, which I think is a Lenny Kravitz signature model, like unofficial Lenny Kravitz model. And I actually got to play that, and I said, man, that's really, really cool. That is some kind of amp right there.
Well, I just want to give a quick shout out to Mike and Guitars. Hey, Sonia, stopping by, say what's up. And Mike also says Mesa. Yep, Mesa, Boogie Mike. Boogie for sure, dude. That's a good one. I've had a couple of them. Hiya, Mike Guitars. How are you today? Sonic Sonia says. Mesa number 1 and EVH number 2, Mike. You know your amplifiers, my friend. You know your amplifiers. Hanging by a thread, thanks for asking. You're doing all right, Mike. If you could join this chat, you're doing good. Just wanted to say hi. Take care, Sonia. Be safe. And Sonia says, you too, Mike Guitars. Have a fantastic day. Well, Mike brought up a very good point about guitar amps. Have you ever tried a Mesa engineering amp?
I've tried 3 of them. I tried the mini rectifier. I tried a Mark V 35 and the Lone Star Special 30. The Lone Star Special 30 was the only one I could get a good sound out of.
Now, why do you think that is? Do you think that's just because of the frequencies that you have in your mind?
Well, I think it's a combination of a lot of things. I have heard good sounds out of Mark Fives and Dual Rex, but like when I was at when I was in London, I got different amplifiers, so I found a lot of things I liked. Like I found a Friedman Small Box 50, awesome amplifier. Friedman makes great amps, but these two Mesas, I was given just a off the wall Schecter something or other. It had like, I think it was like a Keith Merrow signature model, and I just could not get a sound out of using that particular amp. I could not get a sound in that guitar. I couldn't get a sound I liked out of either amp. The boogie was just the little rectifier was just way too much bass. Could not dial it out. The Mark V just sounded too stiff, I guess. I don't know what it was. It was just like it was fighting my every note I tried to play, and I just couldn't get a sound I liked out of it. I don't know if it was just like a Strymon where you need to have a rocket science degree in order to figure out how to work it, but I just couldn't get a good sound out of it. The orange over 6060 sounds, 3 knobs, turn, all of them to 6, go from instantly a good tone.
Orange,
It's impossible to get a bad sound out of an orange unless you skip all the mid
right.
out. In this case, yeah, it is a bad sound.
And that's why they've been around so long.
Mm-hmm. Interestingly enough, I actually got to play a 6505 just at a and 51. I played an EVH 5153, the EL34 version, down in Guitar Center. Channels 1 and 2 were pretty cool. Channel 3, I could not get a sound out of. I love. The presence knob on that thing is very finicky. You can dial it in for channels 1 and 2, and it sounds pretty good. But channel 3, it just has like this, like upper mid range thing that just will not go away unless you take away the presence, and all of a sudden now you've affected channels 1 and 2, and they're now darker than you wanted.
And that's on the Black Stealth.
That was on the not the Black Stealth. I don't think it. I think it was announced. It hadn't been like available just yet. It was on the EL34 version. I didn't get to play the 606 version. They didn't have it at the Guitar Center I went to.
Now,
the 6505 though, as much as I riled against it earlier, I did play it. I actually did get to play it, and I understand why people love it so much. I understand why it gets so much praise. It is a phenomenal amp.
6505?
Oh yeah, I love that amp, even though I do have my, it's the sound of modern metal, which I'm not a huge fan of. I do have my complaints with it, but it is a good sounding amp. Like they know what they're doing with that thing. Though I wish they had a better effects loop.
Well, yeah, speaking of effects loop, before that leads me to an effects loop question for you. But before that, I wanted to ask you, Harry, how important is tuning stability to your overall guitar tone?
Absolutely critical. So again, I play in drop B, which is, what is that, 3 semitones down? I'm not entirely sure. I don't know my theory all that well. It's 3 semitones down from drop D. So a minor third down. But if I don't have a stable system, like I were playing on like a Gibson scale length, I put an to 25 and a half, and it has a Floyd Rose variant on there, so it's going to be very stable. I can trust it. If I try to do, and I have a 60 to an 11.5 with a wound third on there from String Joy. Big shout out to Scott. Scott is String Joy. Those guys are really, really cool.
Scott's wonderful.
Love Scott.
Yeah, so do I.
If you don't get your tuning stability correct, you're going to have a terrible, miserable time playing. I think Glenn Fricker had an episode on a 7-string SG that Gibson made for a little bit, and he said It was the biggest waste of $3,000 that he ever made, because it would
Which
not.
one?
It was a 7-string SG.
Oh,
Glenn Fricker has a video of it, and it's like just 15 minutes of him saying that this is the worst guitar ever made. It's $3,000 of crap basically, and I'm like, it is an SG, so like, it's if it were an Explorer, I would fight him, but it's an SG, and I'm not a fan of SGs, so I'm like, whatever.
I think that I can't. I saw that on Spectre Sound Studios.
Mm.
The Spectre group. I saw that, and I was thinking to myself, why would somebody make a 7-string SG?
Like, I love 7-string, but an SG 7-string? Oh no, no. Give me an
Somebody.
Explorer SG. Now that's a guitar I'd play.
That's interesting. An Explorer 7-string.
Oh yeah, I would play that. I think Dave Davidson Revocation has a signature Jackson like a variant. It's sort of an X model, but it's not. It's really it kind of looks like Chuck Schuldner's guitar from Death, but
The
it's got Jackson on the logo. It looks metal and it looks cool and all. I would not personally play it just because I don't really like Revocation's music all that much. It's a cool guitar though.
well, speaking of guitars, have you seen what the 2020 LTD line looks like?
From ESP?
Yeah.
Not really. Still have a LCD, but I don't use it. I had an LCD, one LCD about 2016 or so. I didn't really know what I was doing with Floyd Roses, and it just kind of crapped out. I'm not a very good. I didn't know what I was doing with it, so I was like, things junk. I'll just get rid of it. I still have it. I never did manage to get rid of it, so I actually still have it. But I've been looking at LTD a little bit because I have some interesting things, but I haven't really been following all that much.
Well, I'm pretty impressed. I look at LTDs because number one, unfortunately, that's the only brand of guitar I can afford right now. And number two, because the new models, the whole 2020 line, they look like custom USA shop ESP guitars.
Yeah, I was looking at them on Sweetwater because I saw something.
Pretty impressive.
I was like, yeah, it looks pretty cool. I'm more of a fan of what Fender is doing with their parallel series with their parallel universe series.
Mm-hmm.
Like they have the Powercaster where it's like a shrunken jazz bass body and it has like a Gibson scale next to it. P90 and a humbucker. I got to play one of those things. Actually, really cool.
Well, there is another company that I've really been looking out on, especially for 2020 models, is Dean.
Oh, Dean. Oh, Dean. Never really liked Dean.
Pretty impressive. Pretty impressive. I especially like the Dean Explorers with Duncans and with Floyd Rose. I'm just like, I like those guitars.
I think Jackson makes a they make their I think it's the Kelly or something like that.
Yeah, that's famous. That's back in the early '80s, man.
Yeah, they still make it. I think they're selling for like 600, like the brand new ones, like made in Indonesia, are like $600 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
They're pretty cool guitars. They're not something I would play though.
I played a Jackson Kelly before, and I could see what all the appeal was about. Why Marty Friedman played one in Megadeth.
Mm-hmm.
I totally, I get it. I understand. It's a beast of a guitar, and I mean it's big. Fretboard big in my hands, and I mean it was just chunky. Had some tone. The tone wood was just thick and bumpy. It was It was a pretty good guitar to play through my Line 6 stack, I'll tell you.
Yeah, I'll tell you. I'll tell you what. One of the best sounds I got. I was up in Chicago Music Exchange.
Oh, yeah.
They had a '91 American Special Telly. It had the Texas specials in there, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I ran that through an orange AD30. Clean channel was extremely bright. I didn't really know what I was doing with clean channels at the time, so I'm like, oh, that's too bright. Back that down a little bit. But man, I put it on the gain channel. Oh, it was glorious. So yeah, Telecasters and modified RGs are my go-to for anything really.
Well, if anybody would like to ask my guest, Mr. Harry H., a question in the chat room, please feel free. I will ask it. Thanks, guys. Thanks, streamers.
Thank you guys. Thank you for being here. It's been a lot of fun.
The have you tried the any Boss Boss all-in-ones? Boss modelers.
I tried a katana once. It wasn't pleased with. It sounded okay. I wasn't really a huge fan of it. The only Boss products I own are the DD200, which I mentioned earlier, and I think it's an '84 made in Japan HM2.
Mm. Yeah, I remember when those came out.
Yeah, those are the only two. Those are the only two I own. I only got the HM2 because I love Entombed, and I love the Swedish death metal sound.
Well, you mentioned you have a Godan.
Oh yes, I love that thing.
Tell me about your Godan.
So, oh god, where do I begin? We're getting to the specs, I guess. Yeah, so it's somewhere between it's basically a French or Canadian version of a Telecaster, a Les Paul, and a Telecaster. So it has a like a humbucker neck, 59 Duncan neck, I think. So taking inspiration from the Gibson, 25.5 inch scale length with the trem and single coil bridge. So Strat Telly has a real beautiful Telly inspired ish headstock, 12-inch radius, decent size neck. Kind of feels like those modern C shape Strat necks or something or Telly neck or something like that. Feels really, really good to play. Has this awesome 5-way switch which does some series parallel switching to it. So a normal HSS or a 5-way Strat pickup would be position 1's the bridge, position 2 is middle and bridge, position 3 is mid, position 4 is mid and neck, and then 5 is neck. Well, this one does something different where it's position 1 is the bridge, position 2 is the bridge and outer pickup of the neck in parallel. Position 3 is all 3 pickups. Position 4 is outer neck pickup and the bridge in series, and then 5 is the full on neck. And it has a little definition revoicer, which kind of sounds like a slight volume and presence boost to me. And I put that down in C sharp, and I taught myself how to play wind hand on that thing. It is
wow, C sharp on a Godan. Wow, man.
Yeah, I was using an 11 and a half to 58, I think, when I was doing that.
Oh, here's Sonic Sonia has a question for you, Harry.
Yes.
Are you still using the Tony Iommi pedal?
Yes, I am. I run it into my orange Jim Root Terror with an MXR Smart Gate after it, and that gets me everything. I guess that's basically my version of the modern metal sound. So, I mentioned earlier, the modern metal sound for everyone else is a 6505 variant or 5150 or with a tube screamer and high output pickups from a Jackson or something like that. I went with Ibanez with medium-high output Duncans with a treble booster, because Orange already has that very famous mid-range. I don't like how Tooth Trimmers influence it. It just becomes an overload of mids basically, and I don't really like. So the treble booster in 6, I want to accentuate my high end a little bit more, and then I tried a Horizon Devices Precision Drive, and again, same thing. I understand why people can like it. I could not get a good sound out of it. Like it just started crapping out on me when I was trying to do it. I'm like, I can't do this. This is awful. So I got Treble Booster instead from Anderton's, and it just does that sound, that modern metal sound, but better, in my opinion. And I run that again into the Jim Root Chair, which I set to 666 on the EQ just because I'm lazy. And I read that's what Tony Iommi did at one point, and I haven't been able to fact check it since. I read that once on the internet, so it must be true, and it actually sounds good. So
phenomenal.
Yeah, and then gains at about like 6 or 7 or something. It gains at like 7 just because I maxed it out. I'm playing. It just becomes too much. I backed that down to about 7, and it sounds really, really good right there.
So what EQ did you use at that time?
When I was doing what?
When you were dialing in the Tony Iommi pedal.
Oh, I did the same. So the Iommi pedal is interesting because most treble boosters like the Keeley Java boost. It's just 2 knobs and it's like treble and level or something like that or whatever.
Yeah.
This one has a full 3-band EQ. So I have the treble maxed out, level maxed out, bass and drive at 0, and then it has a 3-way mid switch. So in the up position, it's like a upper mid boost. Then it goes flat mid boost, and then it's on the down position, it's like a low. So I have it in the upper mid boost, so I can just really just emphasize, more of that high end, more that delicious high end that I like. Because where Pegasus like stops right about where things get a little bit muddy. Like it's a great pickup. I love it. It's perfect for my sound. But when I want to start going the next step into like, okay, I'm going to play more technical stuff. I throw in the treble booster and the noise gate, and it just takes it the rest of the way there.
What kind of nose gate do you like?
It's just the MXR Smart. Yeah, sorry. It's a MXR Smart Gate. I have a TC Sentry, but I've had the most difficult time thing in. I did manage to find a sound that I liked with it, but I had to use it with the Wampler Dracaris pedal. But running a distortion pedal into a already gained out amp is not a good sound. So I have that on just a practice board that I use for a little bit.
So Sonic Sony says I plan on getting that pedal eventually, the Tony Iommi pedal.
Definitely get it. It is arguably the best treble booster I've found.
Now, does it come in a pedal format so you could put it on your pedal board, like run it first in line?
Yeah, it's about the size of your standard MXR pedal. It's not like the full on Rangemaster where it's like a shoebox you put on top of your amp or anything like that. It's like a MXR pedal, like about yay big or so.
Well, Sonic Sonia, also thank you for that, Harry. I'm going to look into it myself. I've certainly heard it for many years.
Yeah, definitely watch the Andy from Reverb/Pro Guitar Shop video on it. It is absolutely sick. And I actually did a video on it through my YouTube channel, Low Tune Gear Reviews, to hear how it sounds in a proper Iommi C sharp tuning.
C sharp.
Yeah.
So that would be the low E is tuned all the way down a step and a half.
Yep, minor third.
And the rest of the strings would be tuned to what exactly?
So C sharp tuning standard is on the 6. sixth string, it's a C sharp, F sharp, B, E, G sharp, or C sharp.
I thought Tony Iommi tuning was drop D.
No. He might use it for one song, but he did a oh god. Does It Doom has a great tuning guide for everything Iommi. He's on C sharp for, I think, for was it volume 4? Was volume 4 with Sweet Leaf? No, Master Reality, that's what Sweet Leaf is.
Master Reality.
Master Reality is completely in C sharp, and then E standard is, or it's like a slightly off C standard E standard for Paranoid.
And who has that? And who has that book?
Does it Steve Reese of the
Steve Reese.
Yeah, of Does It Doom. He does gear demos and guitar lessons in the stoner, doom, and sludge genre. Pretty cool stuff.
I'm gonna have to look that up.
Yeah, if you like bands like Sleep and Sun and Electric Wizard, he does a lot of those types of sounds.
Sonic Sonia is also saying, have you ever tried any of the multi-effects pedals that you liked or may have gigged with?
Yes, so I do have a Line 6 Pod HG500X, which we talked about earlier. It's good for like some tone testing. Like, for a little while, I was into the Fallujah type sound, which is like atmospheric death metal type stuff, which is based heavily around Directifier. But having played an actual Directifier, it does not sound like it. So it doesn't quite get you the proper sound and get you close. Questionable. I do want the Helix Stomp because it does have a lot more effects that I would personally play. It does have a range there, which the TI Boost is basically modified. So it is a modified Rangemaster, and it does have an orange OR80 on there, which is not a rock reverb, but I think blending that and like a 6505 on there could get me pretty close.
I'll tell you, yeah, orange. Going back to orange, I'll tell you, the first time, well, in the early 90s, in my band Soul Machine, we recorded in a professional recording studio that actually had an orange stack. And I remember using that to track a couple songs. And that's when I really fell in love with orange. But then when I started hearing the orange Jimmy Page amp, I was just like, okay. And then that's when I started getting back into Supro again. Orange, orange is amazing. I just can't say enough good things about Friedman, Marshall, Orange, Supro, Fender. The list goes on and on.
Yeah, I actually got to play a Friedman small box, and it's very comparable to like a rock reverb, but I found it to just be a little bit thinner. Might be good for like might be good for I don't know, like kind of like Steve Vai shred stuff. I know it's like a modified plexi or something like that. So it'd be really good for like a Steve Vai type thing.
The Sonic Song said one more question. Have you ever played the Tony Iommi signature SG?
I have played one SG and I hated it. I do not like SGs. There you go. I don't like SGs one bit. They sit very weirdly for me.
It's all right. Some people like them. I like them. Some people don't. That's fine.
Yeah, I would much rather. The only Gibson I've played that I liked was a Explorer. I played like 4 Explorers and they've all been amazing.
Well, my good buddy Cutter Savage is here.
Hello, Cutter.
Cutter, say hi to Harry. Check this out. The Car Savage is an artist, good friend of mine. That's releasing some new music pretty soon.
Ooh,
And I am going to have him up back on the show. He's already been on the show once. And he's going to come back, give me a mixing update. And at the mixing stages of his new release. And then when his release is ready to go and it's being released to the world, we're going to do a 3-day event. Um, a 3-day record release party type broadcast.
that's gonna be pretty fun. Cutter, what kind of
So
music are you playing?
I'm looking forward to it. Cutter's a good guy. Um, Cutter says hi to Sonia while we're waiting for Cutter to reply. Cutter says, yeah, SGs, they're definitely different feel. Cutter's all saying, what's up, Harry, Sonia?
Not much.
That's
cool.
Harry. Getting a signature SG.
Yeah, if you can play an SG before you get that, it might be helpful. Other things I found work great for that Tony Iommi-ish sound are PRSs actually.
Hmm.
I have a SE 20 custom 24 zero coat model, which sounds, the stock pickups are really good. I would probably switch them out for, I don't know, something a little bit more vintage-y. I've got a set of CS guitars when when Henning Pauly had his it was like 42 Gear Street. They had that big auction for the animal shelter like a year ago or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I was fortunate enough to win Colin Scott's prototypes for the for prototype humbuckers or something like that, which are kind of like PAF but like modified a little bit. And so I want to see if I can get those into the zero coat PRS. It might sound pretty good for, like, I don't know, Doom or something like that.
Well, Cutter answered your question.
All right.
Like Led Zeppelin and Rush mixed together with storytelling and Pink Floyd.
Ooh, okay, that should be interesting.
I can't wait. I can't wait. Those are all my favorite bands right there. Wow, I can't wait. It's going to be cool. Yeah, Cutter's a visionary. He really he really showed me like the new graphics that I'm designing that are on my channel. Um, yeah, are you very familiar with video editors?
Is that a question for me or a question for Cutter?
That'd be for you.
Oh, a little bit. I've got Mixcraft Pro 8. That's really about it. I don't really do a whole lot of video editing beyond just, here it is, look at it.
Are you? Do you have any experience with Adobe Premiere Pro?
No. I understand Adobe Premiere is very expensive. I do not have it.
Well,
I don't have Pro Tools either. So.
oh, neither do I. I use Reaper. I use
Reaper.
Reaper. There's another company I want to give a big shout out to, Cocos. Thank you, Cocos, for designing Reaper. And it saved my hide more than once. And I'm loaded with pods. I also I load my Reaper. The plugins I have. The Positive Grid Bias Effects 2.
How is that? I never got a chance to try that.
I just got the pro version because it has the Friedman modeler on there, and the BE101. I highly recommend it. I highly recommend Bias Effects. Bias Effects 2. I highly recommend it. Pretty amazing actually. I don't have the Line 6 Helix plugin, But I do have the Positive Grid by effects too. I also have the Altera Spring Reverb. I don't know if you've heard that reverb plugin or not. It's
No,
also
I don't use much digital, like computer stuff like that. I do more. I want to have it on the of my hands. I don't do well with computers all that much.
it's a big learning curve, and I'm still learning every day. I'm learning. You know, between my Boss GT1, my Boss Katana 50 amp, you know, mixing, using this stuff as audio interfaces, and then being able to find the tones in my head and run everything into my Digitech Trio pedal. And some people might think, oh well, that's nothing. You know what? It is something, and it takes a long time to really get a good hold on all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have your upper echelon companies. Positive Grid, you were asking me how Positive Grid bias affects too. Is I'd check it out. I'd try the free demo. And
Okay.
the cleans are, like my favorite clean sims on Positive Grid by Positive Grid. Positive Positive Grid bias effects too would definitely be the Roland Jazz 120,
Mm.
and mixing it with like a Fender Tweed or a Fender Bassman,
Ooh, that sounds pretty good.
throwing a Roland Echoplex or an Echo Rec in the front, tape echo in the front, and in the effects loop adding like a hall or cathedral reverb and like the stereo trichorus that Positive Effects has. Pretty amazing. Pretty
That
amazing.
does sound pretty good. I've been having some trouble with my effects loops on my amps lately, so I started running everything to the front now, which I know you're not really supposed to do with a gained out orange, but
There's no rules.
yeah, there's no rules. And actually, that's what Deaf Heaven does. They use a 6505, and I think Kerry McCoy runs a RV, like the RV6, something like that, directly to the front of it. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? It's gonna sound terrible. He's like, yeah, but I'm Deaf Heaven. I can do whatever I want. And I was like, fair enough.
Yeah, there's no rules when it comes to like guitar tones. Like, if it works, it works. And if that's one thing I showed you. I showed you this,
Mm-hmm.
and these 200 pedals have 4 presets. You can program up to 4 presets.
Did you get the update for it yet?
The what?
The update for it?
Yeah.
The DD200 now has 128 presets.
Well, all I need is 4.
Yeah. Yeah, I like too many different delay sounds, so I have now 9 presets on my DD200.
I love Boss. They really knocked it out of the park.
Mm-hmm. That update is a real game changer, because originally I was like, oh man, I gotta do what I want. I need to like condense everything down to like 4 presets. But then I all of a sudden I was like, I saw the update and I was like, oh my god, it's a lifesaver. It's a dream come true. I can now match my individual delays to the 120 presets of reverb I have on my Seymour Duncan Silver Lake, and I'm like, this is it. As soon as I get like a proper MIDI switcher like the ES8, I'm done. It's it. That's like,
Oh, this is. Hold on. We'll talk about that MIDI switch in a second. I do want to chat about that a little bit. Sonic Sony says I'd buy the full version of DaVinci Resolve next, but I currently use Vegas. Vegas Pro video editing software.
I have not heard of those ones. Might check them out.
And also, Sonic Sonia also says, ask you, Harry, do you use a looper very often?
So I know the DD200 does have a looper function on it.
Yeah.
I do use it occasionally, but I've had some trouble just getting my getting my timing down. So I want to look into the MXR clone looper because I understand it has like a 4-count intro, and like it has also a lot more time of looping on it, which could be very helpful.
Now, what do you think of the Boss ES pedal switchers?
I want the ES8 so bad because if you look at bring out the picture again with my full rig. I'll explain what's going on with it real.
Yeah, let's check it out. Let's check it out, man.
Okay, so this is actually an older picture, but I'll tell you what's going on. So we go from the gem to the polytune, then into the pedal just to the left of that, which is an orange compressor, optical compressor, which then goes to that little white pedal at the bottom right. And that changes between two pedals. It's the Wampler Paisley drive, the Brad Paisley signature pedal, then the TI boost, and the Smart Gate. That goes into the front of the orange. Then in the loop, we have the orange 2-stroke, then the Catalina chorus from Seymour Duncan as well, DD200, and the Silver Lake. What I would do in an ideal world is have basically linked up to an ES8 and just have like, boom, I got my lead, I got my straight up lead tone, which would be like the compressor, the Paisley drive, delay, reverb, and then the two-stroke boost, just a little cleaning up the EQ. Then I'll also use that to switch channels. So I'm like, okay, now I'm on my clean channel. I need something like a little bit of like a cleaner overdrive sound. So I could use like, another pedal or something like that. I could just have a little more options and just devise presets. I could just very easily just go, boom, 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 play, have my tones right there on the board.
Well,
I've actually devised a whole rig behind that, and it's based again around a rock curb. using the ES8, which I understand Paul Bearer uses. I think is it Brett Campbell or the other one? Yeah, it's the dudes from Paul Bearer, Arkansas doom metal band. I've seen them twice now. They're awesome. They use one of them uses an orange and an ES8. And he has like El Capistan, a Big Sky, some other pedals and delays, and it's a couple overdrives on his board. But it's all controlled by the ES8. So he can just press one button and change from his clean tone. It's like a kind of a clean lead, then a distorted, then like a distorted lead or something like that. And he can go like clean psychedelic type sounds. Really, really cool stuff. Huge inspiration for my board right now.
So if you could recommend a good drive pedal to any musicians out there, what would it be?
The Wampler Paisley drive.
The Brad Paisley pedal.
Yes. Unequivocally, and I've been talking all day about how much I play doom metal and death metal and black metal. That pedal is perfect for everything. I think it's based around. I'm not really certain what it's based around. I think it's a Tube Screamer variant, but it's not quite as honky as a Tube Screamer. But because it has the option to go to 12 volts and 18 volts, I run mine at 12 volts, so it gives me more headroom to work with. So I use that as like my lead sound. So that goes no gate. It's just that into the amp. So I have it doesn't quite cut the low end as much as a Tube Screamer will. And you have so I tone at like 3 o'clock, drive at 9, yeah, 9 o'clock, and then volume at like also 3 o'clock. And then it has a mid-range toggle, so I can go either flat, scooped, or pushed. Push those mids, and then increase the presence, and it is instantaneously a great just lead pedal. Conversely, when I switch over to the TI boost, which is far more focused and tighter than that one, so it creates a really good contrast when I have the orange, which is gained out constantly. So it just provides like a different texture for a different lead tone.
Well, Sonic Sonia also says, Harry, do you have some recent videos up or a channel with your band?
I have a channel called Low Tuned Gear Reviews. I have not posted in a little while. I've been very busy with school and work, and now this virus thing's popped up, which you mentioned earlier. So I might get back into that a little bit. I'm not entirely sure as of right now, though.
Well, are there any of your social media that you want to promote and just let my viewers, let the dreamers know about?
Uh, just really Low Tuned Gear Reviews. That's really about it.
And what about the pedalboard group we both belong to?
Oh yeah. Pedalboards of Doom. They're pretty cool. I'm a little partial myself to the Wampler Tone group and the pedalboards of Actual Doom, because they focus more on actual doom metal, and Wampler is Brian Wampler's a genius. So I like everything he does. I think Josh Scott hangs out in there sometimes. I'm not entirely sure.
Brian Wampler, that's somebody I'd like to get on the show someday.
Yeah,
For sure. Brian's amazing.
I've got
He really is.
like 6 or 7 of his pedals. I got the Tom Coyle Dual Fusion one. That thing is really, really cool. I don't use it for like his style of like jazz fusion. I use it for more earth type sounds, earth and like Julian Baker stuff. It's really, really good for that stuff.
Sonic Sonia is saying that Wampler is great. Absolutely.
Yes, they are.
And I also just want to give a big shout out real quick to, if I may please, Harry, to Friedman. Friedman Amplifications,
Oh
Toneworks,
yes.
North Hollywood. I hope everybody's doing well. And Dave Friedman, I want to tell you, thank you for making my BOD Deluxe OD pedal. Thank you for making my Dirty Shirley, my Buxom Betty Booze, and my Golden Pearl Overdrive. I love the Golden Pearl, especially when I take the volume, crank it, and turn the gain to about 9 on a top dial. I love that. I love your Friedman Golden Pearl Overdrive. And I also want to give a big shout out to Billy Rowe, Jet Boy, and Rock and Roll Relics up in San Francisco. I hope you guys are safe. I hope you guys are well. Billy, shoot me an email sometime. Let's chat. And also, Cutter Savage. Oh, Harry, Cutter Savage also says, speaking of pedals, GHS pedals have some great videos on YouTube.
Yes, he does. Following him for a better part of a year now. Pretty cool stuff. I loved his episode when he did a crossover episode with that pedal show, and went to Macari's on Denmark Street and did the whole tone bender episode. That was a lot of fun.
I missed that, but I remember when that was posted, and I wanted to see that, and I just haven't been able to get around to it. So tell me,
I've been to Macari's. It's a very, very nice place.
And where is Macari's located?
It's on Denmark Street. It's not actually on Denmark Street. It's like right around the corner from it.
In what country? What town?
The UK, London.
Oh, London, England.
Mm-hmm.
Macari's. They've been around for a while, haven't they?
Yeah, they've been around for God, no, I think it's 80-something years. They started in the 40s or the 50s. I don't remember. I don't remember exactly when they got started. But I went over there when I was in London a couple years ago. Looked around, I got to play an actual metal zone there for the first time ever. It was it was a metal zone. It was a metal zone. It was very funny.
I had a metal zone, and I didn't really learn the importance. I was still had my head stuck in marshals and boogies, so the metal zone was. I didn't see the importance of it, but then that was in the early '90s. Fast forward many years, and I saw Pete Thorne's video for dialing in a metal zone, and I couldn't believe it.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I didn't know that the metal zone could sound this good. You know?
Yeah, the metal zone got some infamy because of Colin Scott's whole thing, where he's like, you know, everyone just scoops mids on that thing, and it sounds like garbage. You just run that into a clean channel of an amp, and it sounds like trash. And then he went on, and then I think it was Drusus Stalin who brought back the metal zone and said, no, it's actually a good pedal. Because I think what he did was he ran it in the effects loop of just some amp,
Mm-hmm.
and then did a ton of post processing on it to make it sound better. And I'm like, okay, you've basically put this thing into a whole mix. Of course, it's going to sound better. You have studio magic at your hands, and then that caught on. And then Ola Englund said, like, yo, you have to put this thing into a real power amp. It sounds really, really good. Don't run it into a clean channel, because that sounds terrible.
Well, Cutter Savage really likes metal zones, so do I, Cutter. Me and Bob.
Metal zones are funny. I like the HM2 more, though.
Supposedly one of the best-selling pedals of all time, despite everyone bags on it. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree, Cutter. It is, it's a remarkable pedal.
It is definitely an interesting pedal to play with.
So tell me some, Harry. Are you a big fan of wireless systems?
I've never used one.
When things get to the point in your life to where you could get one, this is what I recommend.
Is it the
Boss WL60. It goes right on your pedal board, goes straight to the tuner, 500 feet.
That's pretty good.
I strongly recommend this. This is that brand new wireless from Boss. I strongly recommend this. And I also recommend, if you're not able to get that, to get the Boss WL20.
Oh, yeah, I've heard some good things about that one. That's on the Boss Air Katana, right?
Mm-hmm. Give you 200 feet of pristine, uninterrupted reception. Pretty amazing.
That's pretty cool.
So I have my choice. I like to use, my goal basically is to use my Boss WL20 here for practice, and then use my Boss WL60 on my pedal board. So what kind of pedal board do you like? Do you have a favorite pedal board company?
I like Pedal Train. However, they have some limitations with their stuff. So I would ultimately create my own. The one I have in that picture is actually a like a
Hey,
20.
Johnny.
Hey Johnny, the thing I have in there is on the picture is just a wooden TV tray I got at Target for like $30.
A wedding TV tray.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. Good, Johnny. I'm glad you stay in. Don't go out there, man. It's crazy. You can't even now. You have to wear a face mask just to throw the trash in the garbage can outside.
Mhm.
It's crazy. Absolutely nuts. Sonic Sonia also says, when are we gonna hear some live guitar playing, Will Dunham? Pretty soon, Sonia. I have a few pieces that I'm writing right now, and I need to do some more live streams of some more guitar playing live streams. I got plenty of time now, so I'm really working on my brand development and building my other social media, opening my merch shop, creating my website for Guitar Streaming 352, Rebel Gold Star, and Artist Talk. So it's all stuff that I'm working on. Um, Johnny B says, "Hey, Cutter Savage." Cutter Savage says, "Hey, Johnny. You know, it it's it's what I'd like to do is eventually I would like to build a regular build a regular list of guests every month, and once I do that and I start getting more followers, I'm going to start holding little contests,
Mm.
little giveaways, little contests, and I'm going to start getting into all that. Now I have the time to develop all this stuff. So I might as well jump on it because I don't see anything changing anytime soon. And, I just want to urge everybody to be positive and push negativity out. Let the good stuff in and push the bad stuff out. And be safe and just use some common sense, and together we'll all get through everything we're all going through. Now, Harry, what I wanted to ask you was, if you had your choice at a high-end guitar, what would it be?
Ooh, high-end guitar.
Mm-hmm.
I've, honestly, I think I'd go with the Blue Floral Gem 77. Like that's the most expensive one I have actually. I paid for that myself, but I got it on a really, I got it used, so I paid like $200 for it. So I used it to go brand new for like 1,600. So I got a great deal. I've played the $3,000 gem before, not the P that just came out back in NAMM, but like the $3,000 like the expensive gem.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I couldn't really justify it. I think I overplayed it a little bit, just because I was overbending, probably because he has like a 9 to 52 on there. I use a 65 to 11.5, so like just massively different right there. Beyond like that's like stock guitars. If I were to go custom shop, then I'd probably go like a true custom shop Fender.
Mm-hmm.
Just a really good custom shop Fender Telecaster or something like that.
Now, if you had your chance to have your favorite high-end guitar pedal, what would it be?
Ooh, I don't know that Seymour Duncan Silver Lake I have on my board is the most expensive one I have on there. It was like $350 or something like that, and I beyond that I can't justify going beyond that for a guitar pedal. If I were to go again, that's a stock pedal. If I were to go full on custom shop, it'd be something from Fuzzrocious, but like beyond that, I'm not entirely sure.
Well, what about a high-end guitar amplifier? What would that be?
Oh man, I actually thought about this a lot. So again, I love Rockerverb, so it'd probably be a Rockerverb. But if we were saying that's not high end enough, it would probably be like a Friedman small box.
Yeah, yeah. Good old David Friedman. Good old tone merchants, North Hollywood, California.
Yeah, what they're doing with him and Synergy are like together is so cool. So cool. I really want the Steve Vai model and the their Dumble style special. I really want those two together.
Yep, Synergy. I remember when I first heard of Synergy, I thought to myself, wow. Yeah, and then I started comparing like the Friedman Synergy Dirty Shirley module to my Friedman Dirty Shirley Overdrive pedal, and I was just identical, absolutely identical. Then I started comparing the Friedman Brown Eye module to my Friedman blvd. I I'm sold. I'm definitely sold on Synergy, and eventually, see, right now I'm looking at one of two things: either getting entry level Synergy module like the B module or the Steve Vai module, because I like the way that sounds also. Um, and getting just, what is it, the Syn 1?
Yeah, it's their one channel thing.
Mm-hmm.
I would go for the 2-channel and the Steve Vai model as well as the Dumble. One of my first overdrive pedals was the MXR Shinjuku drive, which is based around the gain channel of an ODS. And I played that. I didn't realize what it was at the time, back in 2016 when I got it, or 20 something or other when I got it. I said, "Oh wow," because Fluff Riff Beers and Gear.
Yeah.
He did a demo on it. And I said, "Wow, that sounds really good." And he said it's a tube screamer style. I'm like, "Oh, tube screamers. Oh, that's what the modern metal guys are using. Oh, I'll get this thing. It sounds really, really good." I also didn't really know what I was doing at the time, so. And I later come to find out, like a year or two later, like, oh no, it's not a tube screamer. It's a Dumble. I said, Dumble. Okay,
Yeah.
what's that? What's that? And it's like it's this multi-bajillion-dollar guitar amplifier you'll never have that John Mayer has 3 of or something like that. I'm like, okay. Sounded really good. Sounded really good though. So I'm like, all right, whatever. Yeah.
Dumble.
But then I kind of got obsessed with like getting that sound, and I was like, wow, that's actually a really cool sound. So I'm thinking the ODS might the Synergy Overdrive Special would be really, really cool to have.
The Dumble, I got my first, speaking of that, of the Dumble Overdrive Special. That's the one you're talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
That amp right there, the first time I ever heard it, that I realized I was listening to something I'd never heard of before, was when I saw Carlos Santana live.
Oh yeah.
He uses nothing but Dumbles.
And mesas, right?
Yeah, he has a Mesa Boogie snake skin, and that's his recreation of his famous Mesa Boogie Mark 112 combo amp.
Mm-hmm.
But Dumbles, absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. So, Harry, tell me, you brought up John Mayer. Who are some of your favorite guitar players?
Oh man. Right now it's Ben Sharp from Cloud Kicker, Kerry McCoy from Deaf Heaven, Dusty Waring from BT Bam. Oh, God, I'm trying to think. Iomi, obviously.
Hmm.
Oh man, I'm trying to think who else. There's the dudes in Blood Incantation, which are sick. Carl Sanders from Nile. He's had a huge influence on my writing as of late. And dude's Immolation as well. Is it Immolation one? Maybe Immolation as well. Trying to think who else. Oh, Julian Baker. Interestingly enough. Oh, and the guys from Torch. I just saw Torch in Miami a couple months ago, and they were awesome.
Have you ever heard of Demons and Wizards?
That sounds familiar. Yeah, I don't know where I've heard them from though. But it is not familiar.
They're like one of all of England's favorite bands.
Okay, I haven't
Demons
watched
and
any all his
Wizards.
video in a long time, but I'll check them out.
Demons and Wizards. I highly recommend them. Check out Jetboy. Check out Vane. Check out the list goes on and on. I mean, I could go all the way back to Led Zeppelin, Cheap Trick,
Mm.
the bands that gave me my start, Steppenwolf, Skinner, Leonard Skinner. I mean, my influences are all over the map. Um, but yeah, I just wanted to have you on the show today, and if you'll hold on, I've just got a few things to say,
All right.
and so I'm going to everybody in the chat, my family of dreamers. Give Harry a round of applause, please, and I thank Harry for coming on the show today and giving me his time and sharing his excellent knowledge. And he certainly knows what he's talking about, folks. Check out his links in the description box below. I highly recommend it. Well, Harry, I'd like to thank you for coming on Artist Talk today. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you off screen, but hang out, and I'll be right with you.
All right. Thank you for having me.
So, if you want to learn more about Artist Talk, Will Star, Guitar Streaming 352. You can follow me on Facebook. You can follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram, and if you like my content, please consider subscribing and hitting my support link. Please like and share this stream so that together we can make a positive difference in someone's life. And again, excuse me, please consider subscribing. There will be another very exciting um, rendition of Artist Talk coming up. I'm trying to line up for Friday, so keep an eye out for that. And also, Dale Palmer enjoyed the show. Well, thank you for being here today, Dale. Thank you very much. Thank you, Cutter. Thank you very much for being here, brother. Thanks to Dale and Sonic Sonia and Johnny Bean and Cutter for hanging out. Thanks, everybody. And on Friday, I will be back, hopefully, with another rendition of Artist Talk, another edition of Artist Talk. And follow all of Harry's links down in the description box below. Thanks for hanging out, guys. See you Friday.